Setting up a macro picture is quite simple. There are really just a few things you need to know. First thing is I would recommend turning the flash off, and if you are in a low light situation, increasing the ISO. If you can't do that, I'll show you how to use the flash in a second, but for now we'll turn this off. Go ahead and press the flash button right here to access the flash options, and with a dial just move over to flash off and hit set. Next thing is your white balance. Set this accordingly to your light source. Press the shortcut button or the function button. In my case, I have the shortcut button set up to it, so it's pretty easy. And I'm going to go with daylight, because I'm assuming we're outdoors. Press set. Go ahead and press the macro button. It's a little flower icon right here on the left navigation button. And choose macro. Press set. Once your flash has been turned off, your white balance is set accordingly. I have my macro set up. I want to make sure my ISO is set up correctly. Now, 80 ISO will get me the best colors possible. If I have enough light, that's what I would highly recommend using. Go ahead and turn your ISO dial right up here to 80. And to test whether you have enough light or not, just go ahead and press the shutter button halfway. You don't have to necessarily focus as long as your picture is composed the way you want it. Go ahead and press the shutter button halfway. You'll see down here what your shutter speed setting is at. Mine is currently set to 200, and this I know I can hand hold. I have a lot of light, but in your case you may be in a lower light situation where this will dip down below 1/60th of a second, at which point you may want to increase the ISO to bring that up to 1/60th of a second, or at least to something that you know you can hand hold. If 80 ISO is not enough and this figure is less than 1/60th of a second, using a tripod is not an option. I would release the shutter button, increase the ISO, and try again. Now I can see that I'm at 1/500th of a second. In your case, if you're anywhere near 1/60th of a second, you should be fine. Just hold the camera very, very steady and go ahead and take your picture. If you've tried this and increasing the ISO still doesn't get you enough light, you can go ahead and use the flash. In this case, what I would recommend doing, go ahead and turn the flash on, press the flash button right here, and turn that on, press the set button. Because the flash is so close to the subject, I'm afraid that it will blow out and I'll lose a lot of detail in my picture. So I rarely use the flash with macro pictures. However, if it's absolutely necessary, if the ISO is not enough to increase the amount of light, I'll use the flash, but I will turn down the exposure of the flash. What that means, press your function button and go down to the flash exposure compensation setting and turn that down to -2, -1, -1 1/3, whatever you think is necessary. You don't want to have it at 0 because I can pretty much guarantee this will be too much flash. So I like to turn it down to -2, and again you may want to try one picture, see if it's enough light, or turn it up a little bit to -1 2/3 or -1 1/3, and so on. Go ahead and press set. If you are using the flash, I would recommend keeping the ISO a little bit brighter to still have enough light for anything that's in the background, because a weak flash may not get as far as you want, but it won't blow out your subject as well. So now my white balance is set up properly. I have my macro turned on. My ISO is set up properly. In this case, my flash is turned on. Again, most of the time I don't use flash. And my flash exposure compensation is set up accordingly because I am focusing on something very, very close. As with every picture, press the shutter button halfway first, focus on your target, recompose the image with that shutter button pressed halfway, and then go ahead and press the button the rest of the way to take the picture. To find out much more about digital photography and your digital camera, go to lbguides.com.